Hey guys and girls and golden Ordo oldies, it's me Essa and I'm back with the Ordocast episode 2, the Imperium Advances, and I hope you like the new opening, the new format, and it's something a little spicier, a little bit more interesting, and a little bit something more fun to look at, and hopefully this week spelled correctly. So let's just jump straight into it with From the Shout Box, and Angelin01 has yet again given us another attack of Toothless, along with the phrase, whenever I feel that the Shoutbox is too dead, I'm going to post something Toothless related, deal with it, and as always, there will be a link to it in the bottom of this post. Root had a rather interesting YouTube video to post. It's a little Alt F4 incident that was quite funny, and again, that will be linked. I had something to add. I'm not going to tell you what I said, but I'll just link it straight into the bottom of the post. And of course, the guy we love and the guy we love to hate, Kishishima, had something rather interesting to say. In that, if you're bored, Gav, I've got a saw, some hammers, and a few nails for you. Interesting. Can only speculate on what he's referring to. And unfortunately, there are no awards or promotions this week. So remember, guys, you can recommend anyone for an award, and to get awards, start showing off those skills and get recognised. You never know who's watching and who might recommend you for an award. Don't feel like you have to hold back or be bashful. You can nominate anyone for any sort of award, and it's all done through our forum board. And yes, you do need a forum account. So remember, guys, sign up and start raking those rewards. So it's been an interesting week trying to scrabble around, find different news for the various chapters, game news and entertainment news you guys are going to find interesting. Although I have had a little bit of help. I've had a little minion working in the background. It's one most of you know. And if you don't, you're going to know him now. It's Kishishima.
Banana?
Banana?
Banana.
Oh, that banana. Okay. How's it going, Kish?
It's going good, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, and it's great to see you back on the Ordocast. It's been so long.
Yeah, it's been too long. It's all your fault.
Hey. Now, why'd you have to do that? Why'd you have to just point a finger and say, it's your fault?
Because Zoza's not here.
Yeah, true. But he's probably listening, so Zoza, it's still your fault no matter what.
So what have you had going on this week?
This week, it's just been mostly dragging up news for the Ordocast. I thought I'll bring back the Ordocast, do it every so often. It'd be just a nice, easy way to relax, contribute. But yeah, it's just gone right back to how it used to be, a week's worth of fishing for any tidbits of news, just so I can give the guys something to listen to and to roll their eyes at. Same as always.
Cool. Maybe they should start listening to some of Zoza's phone conversations with the CIA then.
Shh, we don't talk about that.
So what do you want to talk about this week?
Well, let's talk a little bit about you. What's been going on, man?
Oh, same old. Playing Witcher 3, goofing around with some Watch Dogs and that kind of stuff. Mostly working, though.
That sucks.
Yeah, you gotta pay the bills.
That's very true. You got to pay for the games.
This is true.
And after all, at the end of the day, what's more important?
You mean besides sex?
Yeah, besides sex.
Rock and roll.
Oh, well, okay. Not the answer I was expecting, but hey, there you go. So, let's jump straight into some chapter news, and we're going to start with Star Wars, The Old Republic. So, Squishy, we've had some news about the weekly sales for the cartel market. What are they offering us?
Let's see. It looks like there's a couple sales. Like they've got some discounts going on. Looks like the Crime Lords Cartel Pack is on sale for 5,400 cartel coins. I'm not sure what it was originally, but it looks like it's off by about 25%.
Okay.
Crime Lords Cartel Pack, that's down to 250 cartel coins. Zoza's favorite dye modules, the black and white, those are down to 800 cartel coins.
With Zoza, I thought you would have been hitting up the whites more.
Yeah, well, you know how it is. Let's see. There's a couple other things. There's a Solar Seekant. It's down to 1125. This gold Scaling. I know a lot of people have liked that in the past. That's down to 1080. Now there's a couple of new ones on there for what I'm looking for what I'm seeing here. You got the collapsible bowcaster. That's down to 100 cartel coins. So that's down 75%. But it looks like they've pulled a bunch of stuff off too. The investigator's armor set, the mercenary contract for Treek,
Oh,
the
that
Tree
sucks.
customization bundle, and the advanced green core Hawkeye are all off the market now from the looks of it.
Oh, wow. So that means now if anyone wants Treat, they've got to hit the gold and legacy level and fork out a couple of million credits.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I take that back. No, it's just they're no longer for sale, so they're not on the discount price anymore. They're still there. They're just not
Oh,
discounted
okay.
anymore.
Okay. I think we just gave half the TOR players a heart attack.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll deal with it. Now there are a couple of items that are no longer for sale at all. It looks like the black and white dye module and the white on white dye module are both off the market.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yep, I don't know why. I'm still digging into that a little bit. I'll see if I can find it as we go along.
They've done it before, though. The black on black and the white on white, they seem to do every so often as a limited time purchase.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Okay, that's cool. And rolling on, we've got a little something from our own forum board, and the chapter CO herself, Carvia, has posted a handy little guide in the TOR board. It is gear recommendations for all the different weeklies there are, from priority targets to operations such as explosive conflict, rather, the Eternity Vault, Tavora's Courtyard, Terror from Beyond, and so on and so on and so on. It's all the information you need in one place, so instead of having to run around, hit all the different terminals and see, oh, yeah, you need to get a recommendation of 178 or 192, you've got it all there on our forum boards. And, of course, there will be a link in the post.
Yay, Kavi.
Yeah, we love the Carvey, she's awesome. And rolling on, we have a game update scheduled to come in shortly, and this is game update 3.2.1, and it's set to deploy on the 27th.
Yep.
It's a semi-large patch, I would say, but one of the most interesting things about it is that they have announced that on June 9th to August 25th, the Nar Shaddaa Nightlife event makes a return. So it's time to start saving up all those credits and hit the casinos.
Yep. Yeah, I just hope they don't end up nerfing the snot out of it like they did the last time.
Yeah, let's hope not. Although they have said that all the broken achievements from the last one will now be fixed in this patch.
Well, that's good. I wonder how many other things they broke in the meantime.
Well, as they say, achievements earned during the Nar Shaddaa Nightlife event that were lost have been restored thanks to a gracious donation from Zerka Corporation. Zerka Corp. Anytime, anywhere, we're there. This patch note was paid for by the people for the unchallenged control of Zerka Corp, a subsidiary of the Zerka Corporation. I love it when they do things like that.
At least they do have a sense of humor. I'll give them that much.
Yeah, they definitely do have that. There's definitely a lot of cartel market news, and there's definitely a lot of classes and combat news as well. One thing they seem short on, though, is fixes for current troubles and problems and issues in things like operations and flashpoints. It doesn't seem like they've really added a lot.
No, they haven't added a lot. They've done some nerfing though. Take the Marauder for example. I think the Cloak of Annihilation is a heroic utility now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that's going to play out.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. But as with every patch like this, they always change something and then break something else. It's BioWare.
Well, it's the same thing as it is anywhere. Usually, at least from what I've seen in the last few years, it's been one of those things where if there's something that throws the balance off in PvP, they turn around and nerf it, which ends up screwing over the PvE content a little bit, and it sparks people going off at each other. And there's a lot of stuff down in the comments section of that, and one of the links that we pulled up on Delphi.net. There's a pretty big discussion. It's actually pretty civilized for the most part. I mean, there's a little ad hom attacks here and there, but for the most part, it's pretty good. From what I've seen, most of it kind of revolves around the whole point of there not being two separate trees for PvP and PvE to prevent that kind of stuff exactly. But we'll see.
Yeah, we can only see how it's going to play out. Obviously, with every patch similar to this, they always end up changing something. But it doesn't seem, no matter what the MMO is, there's always seems to be a balance issue. No single MMO seems to have got a good system down right. There have been some interesting ones like Guild Wars 2 and Formerly Star Wars Galaxies before the NGE hit. PvP was quite interesting there. It was more skill based. But these cookie cutter MMOs, simple like, click and, or like, press button and pawn the person in front of you, it never seems to have a good solid PvP system. I think it's just something we've learned to live with and going to have to continue to live with.
For now. I don't know if I think the biggest issue, and this is what I was talking about just a second ago. I think if they could separate it out so that you had, say for example, you had 3 trees for PvE and 3 separate trees for PvP. That way, if you had, like, for example, when you with the healers, they're usually the ones that get screwed over the worst, because you have like a bubble or a heal or a hot or something along those lines that'll get nerfed in PvP, and then the healer's got to turn around and completely rebuild their entire rollout to try to compensate and work around for that nerf that just happened. If there was a way to do it reasonably without causing a lot of headache, if you made those 2 separate trees, you could nerf that ability in PvP and not nerf it in PvE, and that would work out a lot of the balance. There's still going to be balancing issues back and forth because people are going to find ways to use abilities and stuff that the devs could never in their wildest dreams come up with, because that's just the way it happens. But if those kind of random occurrences, if you could work those out and it would only affect one side or just the other, then it'd probably make everybody's lives a lot easier, both for the devs and for the players.
Very good point. Very good point. And so with that, we move actually into some GTA 5 news. I know we've got quite a few players within Ordo who will find this quite interesting.
Yep, I agree.
So, coming in from Metro, 46.7, who have also just hit their 46.7 million shares. The big news is that GTA 5 story DLC is on its way after all, says Take-Two. This is a story that broke on Wednesday, saying that the bosses of Rockstar's parent company has admitted he misspoke when talking about Grand Theft Auto 5 story DLC not having been announced. There was a whole fracas where Take-Two have said that they weren't going to do any sort of extended story DLC packages, when in fact actually turns out the plans were there. He just didn't know about it going into the meeting at the time. So they are working on some story DLC, which no one knows when it's going to be coming yet. And his comments seem quite bizarre, as Rockstar had repeatedly made reference to story DLC being released for Grand Theft Auto at some point in the future. And what's going to be strange is, and you're going to love this one, Kishi, is that the Take-Two CEO said there was going to be no GTA DLC whatsoever. But yet, Take-Two even mentioned themselves in previous investor meetings that they were setting money aside to make a DLC story for GTA 5.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. These days, most of the time, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing. So you've got somebody who's talking to their guys and their underlings. They're saying nope, it's not going to happen. Meanwhile, the devs are actually working on it. The guys are actually in charge of it, going, yep, we're moving forward with it, and we're actually going to go through with it and get it done. It's just, I don't know. That's one of the problems you have when you've got a big company like Take-Two, who's a parent company of a big publishing house, or not a publishing house, but a big creative group like Rockstar. Rockstar knows what they're doing. Take-Two is it's almost like they're coming out of the shadows, trying to keep up with what's going on and talking at their ass, which is not all that unusual.
It's definitely true in this case. But fear not, GTA 5 players, you will have story DLC coming at some point.
That's a nice little segue into your next little piece of news from Take-Two and the BBC.
Yes, it appears Take-Two is seeking legal action against the BBC. Now, for some of you that don't know, BBC is the British broadcasting company, and it's our main channel here in England, BBC One, BBC Two, and you guys have them in the States with BBC America. They're the guys that bring you all the good stuff like Top Gear and Doctor Who, and I know one of Kishi's favourites is Keeping Up Appearances. You're so weird. So weird. Oh my god.
That was funny. I haven't seen that one in years. Keeping Appearances and Are You Being Served are probably the two of my favorites.
There are just no words. Okay. So,
Bouquet residents leading the house speaking.
oh no, you had to. Why? People are listening, just rolling their eyes, thinking, "Oh my god, these two are nuts."
And they'd be right.
Well, yeah, but that's not the point.
No, you're right. I mean, this kind of goes back to what I was talking to a minute ago with the left hand not knowing what the right hand's doing. There are a lot of people out there, or a lot of news agencies that are reporting that Rockstar were the ones that were going to sue the BBC, and it had nothing to do with them. It was Take-Two that was going after them for not copyright infringement, but IP infringement because Grand Theft Auto was being used in this film they're making.
Well, it's not so much that they're using GTA in the film. I'll take you through it. So Take-Two are wanting to sue the BBC because the film they're currently making that stars Daniel Radcliffe, you guys know him as Harry Potter, is playing the role of Sam Houser, the Briton behind the hit computer game series. It's about a clash between the firm and a US lawyer, Jack Thompson, who wanted to stop the violent games falling into the hands of children. Now, Edinburgh-based Rockstar Games wants to ensure its trademarks are not misused. Mr. Thompson believed he could prove a link between playing the games and violent crimes. He attempted to sue Rockstar on several occasions, but the judges ruled against him. And The Game Changer, name of the film, which is written by James Wood, who is also responsible for Rev, and directed by Owen Harris, who made Black Mirror and Misfits. Also, Hollywood star Bill Paxton plays Jack Thompson, and film is already underway with its release scheduled this year. But in a statement to IGN.com, Rockstar said that Take-Two Interactive, which is Rockstar's parent company, has filed a suit against the BBC for trademark infringement based on their movie currently titled Game Changer, as it directly relates to Rockstar's game Grand Theft Auto. So basically they designed this whole film around how games are violent, trying to stop it falling into the hands of children, and the one case they decided to use was a case against Rockstar and Take-Two. And now they've decided, no, we don't want that kind of publicity. Guess what? We're going to sue.
Mm-hmm. Well, it'll all kind of depend on how the BBC wants to run with it. If they're going to do this like a good versus evil kind of thing, or they're actually going to take it as a more of a historical thing. Now, Jack Thompson may be familiar to some of you guys, or the name may be familiar to some of you guys, especially those guys that kind of grew up in the late 80s, early 90s. Mortal Kombat and that kind of stuff. He was the guy he's part of the reason why the MPAA came around. The big thing he was known for was he got into a big row with Janet Reno back in the day, and he hit the news hardcore back when Two Life Crew released As Nasty as They Want to Be. That's when he started really getting on the news about sex and violence in media and video games and that kind of stuff. The other big thing was the whole the finishing moves or the fatalities in Mortal Kombat. That's what he's known for, is all the moaning and bitching that he did about that, and he's part of the reason why people say that violence in video games is what makes all of us gamers turn into violent psychopaths and go kill people.
I love how people say that, but even after all these many years, I've never felt the need to jump into a car, mow down a line of Elvis Presley impersonators, jump out with a rocket launcher and fire squids at people.
I just don't do it.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I'm sure we've all wanted to run a mime or two over in our time. But there's a big difference between having the impulse and following through with it. I mean, we've all been there. We've all been in the situation where you look at somebody, or you're having a conversation with somebody, or an argument, and you're looking at them, and all you can envision wrapping your hand around their throats and squeezing the life out of them, but you don't actually do it because you're not that kind of a person. That's where the big thing comes up.
Mimes, really?
Well, a mime is a terrible thing to waste.
Oh no, you had to. Oh no, oh my god, oh, that's it. We've just de-evolved to a whole new level now.
Yeah, we've gone to Men in Tights territory now.
Oh no. Although the crazy thing is, I was actually going to say that myself, but hey.
Oh, Lord have mercy. What else we got going on? There was something about GTA 5 and the sales are doing or something. That was something big you want to talk about.
Yeah, GTA 5. It sold more than 52 million copies and is the 4th best-selling game overall, which is one hell of an accomplishment. But it shouldn't be actually surprising that it sold that many, considering that GTA 3 on first release went absolutely nuts in sales.
Mm-hmm.
And originally, I believe it was PC only. I could be wrong on that one. But when you
GTA
think,
3? No.
yeah,
GTA 3 came out. I think it was on the Xbox. I think it was the Xbox first, if I remember right.
okay. But still, though, it's not surprising they sold that many, considering it was released on PC. It's getting a re-release on the PS4 and Xbox. Got re-released on the PS4 and Xbox One. It broke a complete new sales record on the Steam platform, despite being delayed on release.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even Steam turned around and said that they sold something like 1 million copies the first day of it going live.
Yeah. No, I stand corrected. It was the 22nd of October back in 2001. It was originally released for the PlayStation 2. Then it came out for the Xbox on Halloween 2003. And then it moved on from there.
Ah. But then again, we've got to remember, though, that GTA 5 itself, it's 2 years old already.
Mm-hmm. That was
Because
going to be my question for you. That 52 million copies and the 4th best-selling game of all time, is that including both PC and console, or is it just talking about console only, or just PC only?
well, here's the thing. It sold that many copies because when you actually go back through it, it's been released on PC. It was re-released on PS4 and Xbox One.
Mm-hmm.
But it was back in 2013 that it was originally launched on PS3 and Xbox 360.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been released across 4 consoles and a PC platform.
Okay, so it's combining everything. It's not just saying it's 52 million copies on console or PC. It's
Exactly.
both. Okay,
But
I
what
gotcha.
they don't say is, obviously, I mean, for console, it's going to be hard copy disc or a download. What they don't tell you is how many of those sales are through Steam. How many sales of those are direct from the GTA website? Because, like myself, my copy of GTA 5 isn't a Steam version. It's one I download direct from Rockstar.
Mm-hmm.
They don't tell you how many of them hard, like a hard copy on a disc, and so you don't. So I'm guessing the numbers are going to be off wildly in one direction or another, but still, that many copies of it to hit 52 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's just insane.
Yep, I agree. Now I think just get the friggin' online servers fixed.
Yeah, but the best thing is, what some people might not like is it even outbeat Skyrim for sales.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, Skyrim was a great game. Don't get me wrong, but I can't remember exactly who said this, but there was an analogy that got put out there that Skyrim was the size of an ocean but had the depth of a kiddie pool. And in a lot of ways, I mean, that doesn't mean that it's a bad game, because it's not. I've still got it here. I love playing it every now and again. I was just playing it a couple days before Witcher 3 came out, just for shits and giggles. It's still a great game, and even now the graphics and all still hold up really, really well considering how old the game is. Doesn't detract from the game at all. It's just one of those things where there's a lot of fluff thrown in there once you actually get off the main quest line.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah. What's up next? What we got?
I believe we have some Guild Wars 2 news.
People still play Guild Wars?
They certainly do. I mean, I think Guild Wars 2, I think looking at the rankings midweek, it was something like the 10th most played MMO, with
Sweet.
Terra coming in first. I know, that was the shock of the week, I will admit, is seeing that Terra is at the top of the MMO gaming charts. All because of one thing. It's
What's
FTP
that?
on Steam.
Ah, okay.
Nah, Steam done it again. But rolling into some Guild Wars 2, and the Necromancer can become a Reaper in the new expansion. I have no clue what that means because I don't play Guild Wars 2 anymore. But for those that do, you're going to find this very interesting. It said that Guild Wars 2 is gearing up to deliver 9 elite specializations in the Heart of Thorns expansion, which will fundamentally change up your class. The Reaper will switch up Necromancers entirely, allowing them to use great swords to enter combat as melee participants with all the dark goodness they can normally expect from spellcasting. And there is a YouTube video there which I will throw into the post at the bottom, probably in a spoiler.
That's gonna be interesting. You're gonna have a class that's pretty squishy turn into a melee class that can cast. I can hear the raging already.
Yeah. Yeah. If you just listen quietly, you can just hear a few little voices. And the fact that you're actually sitting there listening is crazy. What are you doing, people? Okay, and ArenaNet released a new blog post detailing the reconstruction efforts in Lion's Arch and a new player poll for names. It's quite a lengthy post I have here for that particular bit of news, so it's something I will link into the bottom. Just a little snippet from it. Hear ye, the city leaders of Lion's Arch invite you to participate in the re-inauguration of our beloved metropolis. You are invited to help in the naming of important structures, locations, and areas within Lion's Arch. If you'd like to help name a new location or rename old favourites, head over to a page, I'll give you the link, to vote on the names of selected buildings, spaces, and landmarks. Voting will end in a week. Check back later to see if your favourite name becomes the final choice. That's kind of a cool idea, actually.
Yeah, that is actually kind of cool. But I don't know if it's one of those things where it's just kind of cool or it's an act of desperation to get people involved. I don't know.
It could be, but I mean, it's not very often game designers will like add an area back in or rejuvenate a part of the game and say, "Oh, hey, community, like you name it, you do something about it." Like
Yep.
it's
I agree.
It's kind of cool that they're doing that, and I believe that they've got some upcoming items coming as well.
Yep, they do. It looks like there's if you pre-purchase the Heart of Thorns, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going to come along with it. There's a mad scientist outfit, which actually, believe it or not, looks pretty good. It looks like they put a lot of thought and effort into it for the different races, different classes. They've got a chain whip sword. I don't know how that's going to work out. They've also got Canuck's backpack, which I'm sure you guys know what that is. They've got a Daydreamer's wings backpack, and it looks like a miniature beetle or something as well.
Handy if you need a snack when you're out and about, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm actually, like I said, I'm actually really impressed. The artwork, I mean, the artwork in Guild Wars 2 has always been amazing, but the mad scientist outfit that actually looks really cool. I've just taken a look at some of the images here on that link you're going to post down below. It looks really good. I mean, even on the Guar, and I mean, it's hard to get those cat bodies to fit most of the gear that's out there and make it look really good. But the color combinations and the way they fit the bodies is actually really nice. The mesh work on is incredible.
Do you know what it kind of reminds me of? It kind of
What's
makes
that?
me think of Assassin's Creed meets steampunk.
Yeah, well, yeah, especially on the Ashura, the gnomes. That screams steampunk.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of what it reminds me of. But yeah, it does look really good, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it for Guild Wars 2. Although coming up, we do have some stuff from WildStar. Big news on MMO Games is that WildStar apologizes for recent maintenance with a unique pet.
So what, do they screw the pooch or?
Well, that's just what we're about to find out. As it says here, WildStar had a pretty sizable maintenance last week, 17 hours long. Wow. Which came with a whole host of issues for players, including payment system and customer services being unavailable. Players were a little annoyed, to say the least, and it's understandable. So Carbine have decided to say sorry to all the active players in their own way with a unique companion pet to add to your collection, the enhanced Pumira. Kind of looks like an anorexic puma with a diver's bell on its head. Oh, come on, it does. I'll link the picture to you guys. Look, guys, I'm going to link the picture and I want you to reply below. Tell me that it doesn't look like an anorexic puma with a diving bell on its head.
It does, but that's so WildStar, though.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And as they say, the enhanced Pumira is the result of several hours of maintenance, laughter, and bizarre science from none other than Mondo Zax himself, and will give active WildStar players it's kind of a space cat with a scuba dive. See, it even says so itself. A cat with scuba diving gear stuck on its head.
Hold on to your butts, Cupcake.
Yeah, we don't know, but who cares? It's a free unique pet and will be in your account inventory if you are currently subscribed to WildStar. Now, I believe this did happen a few days ago, so current WildStar players should have this already. And if you do, please take screenshots, post it in the thread, show us what it looks like. But I'm still never going to change my opinion. It is an anorexic puma with a diving bell on its head. See, and to make sure you have the enhanced Pumira screenshot to your Carbine on Twitter and Facebook for a little bit of fun. And to keep up to date with WildStar's maintenance, you can follow the WildStar Ops Twitter account. And the game has come on leaps and bounds ahead of its launch last year, and it's never been a better time to check out what's new in the Nexus and pop back in game.
Well, it can't be doing that good because apparently it's going. There's rumors that it's going free to play in August.
Well, that brings us quite nicely into our next little section. So, why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I was doing some digging around, and I was over on IGN, and from what it looks here, there's some rumors that WildStar is supposed to be going free to play in August. From what it says here, well, at least from what the article says anyway, it says Carbine struggling MMO WildStar is due to ditch its subscription in August and pick up the free-to-play model. So I think, I don't even know why they bother even making pay-to-play MMOs anymore, because most of them they're there for a little while and end up going free to play anyway, because the once it gets released, most of the publishers out there and the companies that run them have figured out that they make a lot more money milking people for stupid stuff than subscriptions. So, well, I don't know. It's disappointing.
It comes down to like the Old Republic frame for doing things. They'll make it a subscription for a certain amount of time so they can reap back all the money they've spent in development and things like that. And then they'll say, okay, well, we're going to free to play. Oh, and by the way, we're now introducing microtransactions. We're introducing a store where you can buy useless stuff for insane amounts of money. And we know you're going to do it because you want the items. Which right, that means we get to sit back and just go, money, money, money.
Right, but I mean, TOR is one of the few, if not the only one, that actually got the free-to-play model done well, minus a few things. I mean, there are a few things on their free-to-play stuff that drive me crazy. Most of them go the way of Star Trek Online, where it just turns into a freaking whale fest. Mm-hmm. And I have a feeling it's probably what's going to happen with WildStar. And it'd be a real shame because, I mean, what little I've been able to play the game, it was a lot of fun. And it's going to turn into another cookie-cutter WoW clone with microtransactions embedded into it. I don't know. I'm not... Most of the time, I don't like it when games go free-to-play. That, like, Star Wars The Old Republic, I wasn't happy about it at first, but after it actually did, it was okay. I think as far as the game itself goes. But the community takes a huge hit and takes a nosedive a lot of times, because that's when you start getting the spammers in and all the rest of that crap, and it just degrades from the experience for the most part. But I mean like that well, you'll probably get into this later, but there's been a bunch of ban hammers dropped lately for that kind of stuff. But I don't know. it's sad to see good games end up basically going down the tubes and becoming free to play, with a few minor exceptions. Um, when it's better for everybody involved to have the subscriptions there, because it keeps the people there that want to be there.
Well, I think it's worth noting with WildStar as well going F2P. Right now, it is only rumor,
Yeah.
but there are certain things that have been happening that sort of back it up to say, well, yeah, it is going F2P in August or around the fall. And it's little things like with copies of WildStar being pulled from the shelf in Australia, which is the exact same thing that old Elder Scrolls Online did just before it went F2P.
Well, true, but the rules in Australia are a little bit different, because games get pulled off Australian shelves on a regular basis. Like GTA 5, for example, they was banned for release for a long time. I don't know
That's
if they
true.
got lifted or not, but you can't really use that as a marker, because the gaming rules down there are a little bit different.
Yeah, that's true. But when you look at it another way as well, I mean, by their timeline, it's due to go F2P just as it's due to be released into the Chinese market as well.
Oh, perfect.
You see, it's just all little things like this. And as NCSoft themselves said, like, it hasn't been a great fiscal year for them. And they've had a seriously high turnover of staff. Hello, World of Warcraft, same thing. Just before they started doing an F2P model. TOR, same thing. Star Trek Online, same thing. So it seems to be following certain trends that seem to say, yeah, right now, okay, we're just going to tell you it's rumor, but it will eventually hit F2P.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to get to the point where games are going to be built around the free-to-play model, which is not a bad thing if it's built that way from the ground up.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
still.
I've always said online games these days should be done one of two ways. Either the Guild Wars 2 way, where you go out, you just pay a single price, and the game's yours. It's MMO all online, no subscription fee. Or they do an F2P game where you then have the choice to either leave it as F2P. You got your microtransactions, you got your item market, but then you've actually got a real incentive to be a subscriber. Either faster leveling, more levels, certain amount of the game cut out to you. Kind of like what TOR is now. I mean, you can do it up till the end of the class stories.
Yep. Well, see, and that's what I'm saying. TOR, for the most part, I mean, like I said, aside from a few things, because it gets a little overly restrictive when you're not a premium player.
Oh, hell
But
yeah.
for the most part, they got it right the way they did it, and it works really, really well. That's why there's still so many people playing it, and the quality is still there. What I'm afraid is going to happen is a lot of these companies are going to make these free-to-play games or whatever are going to take more of the EA approach, which is you're going to build a game, charge a bunch of money for it, run the subscriptions, or basically do it the way WoW's doing it now, where you buy the game, you have to buy all the expansions, you're still paying $15 to $20 a month, and then you got the quote unquote free to play microtransaction crap in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do it the way a lot of other games do it, where like Star Trek Online, for example, you can go through and do all the stuff that you want to do in the game for free, and it's fine. But if you want to get any decent gear, like the ships and that kind of stuff, you've got to pay out. You got to shell out the cash for it. Now, to an extent. Now, all the stuff that's on the C store with Star Trek Online, you can't buy any of the stuff in game, but there's a lot of stuff you can buy in game. You can farm and that kind of stuff. But for the most part, it's a crock of crap, and I'm afraid that's what WildStar is going to run into. Is it's going to take more of the Star Trek Online approach, where you can buy weapons and gear and all the rest of that junk, and not just the essentials or little things that kind of make the game a little bit more fun or help you level a little bit faster, but instead of giving you an advantage over other players. And that's the big thing. I'm afraid it's going to turn it into a pay-to-win instead of a free-to-play game.
Well, I guess we'll just have to see and wait and see what happens and see if the rumors are true. But
Yeah.
definitely something worth paying attention to, you WildStar players. And
Agreed.
considering we've been bashing World of Warcraft a lot, I think it's only fair we give them some love and attention now with a little bit of news of their own. Okay, and so for World of Warcraft, there is two little bits of news. One is actually kind of awesome, actually. And that is that the best World of Warcraft selfie will get you a ticket to BlizzCon.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm not a World of Warcraft player, so I mean, if they did like the Old Republic, like con or something like that, I'd be more interested. But
Well, I know, but this
or
is
GTA
the,
con, like you run around and shoot everyone with like
they
Nerf
have
guns or
games
something.
like that. They have games like that already. I've actually got one on my tablet.
Oh God.
It's not quite, you're not running around shooting people, but I'll have to dig it up here in a second. I can't remember what the name of it is off the top of my head. I haven't played it very much. I just picked it up a couple of days ago.
Oh wow.
But yeah, it's, I don't know. This strikes me as kind of like a desperate move, kind of the same thing as it was with the whole Paul Jr.'s design contest crap they had a little while ago when they were getting ready for the expansion and all that.
I don't know. Actually, it seems kind of cool. I mean, if I'm playing the game and someone turns around to me and like says, "Oh, have you seen this post?" and it's a case of like post a selfie of your character from inside the game, and you could get a chance to go to like their biggest event of the year, like all for the sake of like 20 seconds of snap a picture and upload. I think I might do it.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
Because, as the news says, the WoW Selfie Scavenger Hunt is underway now and runs until June 22nd. Details, including a submission link and instructions on how to take a WoW selfie, are up at blizz.ly/WoW selfie. And BlizzCon runs from November 6th to the 7th. Oh, so it's only 2 days. And it's actually at the Anaheim Convention Center. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I will say this. If you are a big World of Warcraft fan, it is definitely worth doing it because those tickets are insanely expensive, let alone, then that's just to get in, let alone, the fee, the hotels and the traffic and the lines and the food and, you're talking about spending $3,000 or $4,000 on a 2-day trip just to pay for the hotel and the tickets and all that stuff. So
That's
a 20
true.
second selfie would definitely cut a big chunk out of that if you can do it.
Oh, yes. Definitely. The rules are simple. You got to find the locations. I presume they've got a map or clues of where to go, these certain locations within the world, and you have to take a photo of yourself, take a picture of yourself in the same situation, including presumably being a half second away from getting clocked in the skull with an axe, and then submit it. So I guess the way I've got it is kind of like a challenge, like go to like this place, get aggro from this thing, and just before it kills you, take a selfie. And if it looks good, then you've got a chance of winning BlizzCon tickets for this year. But as always, there will be links in the bottom of the post.
Alt-Z and print screen at the right time.
Yeah. And
Oh,
speaking
man.
of getting bashed in the head,
Yes. Yes, that 10,000 man ban. Or 100,000 man ban.
yes, the massive ban wave that everyone hopes finally fixes World of Warcraft PvP.
It won't, but it's a step in the right direction.
So, for those of you that don't know, Blizzard literally unleashed its ban hammer this time, and it kicked out more than 100,000 World of Warcraft players for a 6-month period. Now, what a lot of people are getting confused at is they're seeing this and they're going, "Oh well, Blizzard have kicked out over 100,000 people." It's not permanent. Most of them, a good 60%, is a 6-month ban period. There are some perma bans in there as well, but it's not forever. And as Blizzard said themselves, that the reason why it was done is because most of them are people who are cheating in various PvP battlegrounds with third-party programs and using interrupt scripts. And as they say, we've recently taken action against a large number of World of Warcraft accounts that were found to be using third-party programs that automate gameplay, known as bots. We're committed to providing an equal and fair playing field for everyone in World of Warcraft and will continue to take action against those found in violation of our terms of use. Cheating of any form will not be tolerated.
We'll see.
Is it me, or does it seem like a lot of these MMOs now are starting to... I don't want to say be transparent, but more like compete with each other now with news, because it's not so long ago that TOI announced, oh well, we've banned so many thousands of credit farming accounts. Now WoW say, oh well, 100,000 bot accounts have now been gone, and there is news on another game that's done a massive ban wave as well, which we'll come to shortly. But it just seems it is either transparency, and they're trying to engage more with their consumer base, or it just seems to me like they're just trying to compete with each other.
I think it's a bit of both. It's one of those things. I know Blizzard's had a really bad reputation in the past, for ignoring their player base, and most MMOs go through that. I mean, if for the most part, if people don't get what they want, they yell and scream and pitch a fit and cry and whine and say that nobody ever listens to them. And the big thing, I mean, the biggest complaint that everybody's always had are the gold farmers and the spammers and that kind of stuff. And then when they actually go out and release this news, it's kind of them saying, yeah, we are listening to you. We've just got to get all of our shit together and make sure all of our, everything's all lined up the way it's supposed to be. We are actually doing stuff. And botting and PvP has been a big thing going on for years now. It's just now that you're actually seeing the fit, you're actually seeing it being done instead of it just being done quietly in the background with rumors and, oh, I wasn't cheating, they were just pissed off because I'm so elite and all the rest of this shit. That most of the time it goes through when you know damn well that you're using the bot to cheat, to do the interrupts and that kind of stuff. But at the same time, a lot of times it's just whining and complaining because people are not very good, or they didn't see something coming, or they feel slighted or whatever. And the first thing they always do is they complain about cheating. Well, this person cheated, or this person's using a bot or whatever because I couldn't win or whatever. So this is Blizzard. I think it looks like there's some changes up in the hierarchy in Blizzard from what I remember reading a while back. And I think what they're doing is they are trying to be a little bit more transparent. I think a lot of the other games are starting to pick up on do that too. I don't know if they're competing with one another to see who could ban the most people, but it's getting interesting. I mean, you got League of Legends. They went through a big ban thing not too long ago. You've got GTA 5. They've got unique ways of dealing with their cheaters. Everything from basically the devs have come out and straight up and said, if you guys want to cheat and bring these specific cars into the online world that aren't allowed in there, fine, go right on ahead and do it. But as soon as they do, and as soon as you touch the car explodes and kills you and wipes you out. All the way up to their good sportsmanship, bad sportsmanship thing, where all the trolls and shit get kicked over into one set of servers, and the people that behave themselves get to interact with people, everybody else socially on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
To the stuff we're going to talk about here in a couple seconds with another massive set of bans. So yeah, I think it is. I think a lot of it is just transparency in the guys and the developers and the publishers actually trying to show that, yeah, we do actually listen to you, even though it doesn't feel like we do sometimes.
Yeah. Although, what I find interesting is this mass ban wave has had an unintended effect.
What, the PvE side of things?
Yeah, because I was reading the article on Kotaku, and as it says, this ban wave isn't just affecting the hardcore PvP bars. That people got lazy over the years, forgetting that using bots isn't exploitation of the game; it is against their TOS, and started casually using the programs that automatically do your DPS rotation in raids, or even break down collected herbs into pigments and make item crafting automatic. And now these guys as well also have to wait 6 months before they can rejoin.
Part of that I agree with, part of it I disagree with. If it's one of those things where it's basically breaking the game and making it easier for you to play your class, that's one thing. If you're talking about doing something that's monotonous, where you're standing in the same place for hours on end to break down herbs and the pigments and getting into engineering, that kind of stuff, where it takes hours to craft all this crap or all the materials, that bothers me. Because that's really, I mean, in some respects I can see why they're doing, because again, you got the gold spammers and the guys that play the auction house and that kind of stuff. It can skew the economy to a little bit, but for the most part, the biggest reason why people do it is because the crafting system of World of Warcraft is a pain in the ass. You've got so many recipes that you have to combine and mishmash together to get a specific thing, so you can turn those 3 specific things that took you 4 hours to craft into one specific thing that you can do once a day.
Oh god.
I mean, I can understand why people use bots for that kind of stuff, but when it gets down to where you're using the bot to help you get an edge when it comes to raiding or PVE content, so you're getting the interrupt as soon as the boss starts to cast it or whatever. That to me breaks the game, because that's not you playing the game anymore. That's a computer playing the game for you while you move around.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, in the end of the day, when you got something completely monotonous, I mean, there's some games I wish I could just use a bot for to do for me, especially when it comes to things like crafting or research or things like that. It's just a case of I don't want to sit here for the next 4 hours doing this just so I can get a certain level. I just want to be able to click and then just go do something else. But yeah, I totally agree. It's just unfortunate that these people have been caught up with it as well. And hey, if some of you World of Warcraft players out in Ordo land have been hit by this as well, let us know. Leave your opinion about it in the comments below.
Yep.
And so that ends the chapter news. It was long, but we got there in the end.
That's what she said.
Oh, you had to. And we will move on to news from the gaming industry. So we've I wouldn't say all of us, but most of us have heard that lately Konami have been in big trouble. Their CEO, lead devs have all split. They've pulled titles. They've cancelled games such as the latest Silent Hill with Norman Reedus, which I was annoyed to hell about because I wanted to play that. But there is some more news that Konami will no longer be focusing on any console or PC-based titles. They're going to be focusing on mobile games.
So they're starting to tap into the whale market. Oh, yay!
Yep, Konami has decided that its future lies in mobile game development, according to the company's new CEO. We will pursue mobile games aggressively. Our main platform will be mobiles, following the pay-as-you-play model of games like Power Pro and Winning 11 with additional content. Our games must move from selling things like items to selling things like features.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, exactly. And he goes on to say, we saw with these games that even people who buy physical games are motivated to buy extra content. The success of Power Pro especially has motivated us to actively push more of our popular series onto mobile than ever before. So it looks like Konami's presence in the console area will continue to shrink. And like I said, it shouldn't be surprising, especially considering that they've cancelled a whole line of Silent Hill games, actually. It turns out they had 3 or 4 written up and ready to be discussed. And also Hideo Kojima's reported departure from the company as well has hit them pretty hard. So it seems...
Yeah, but he's never really gotten along with the Konami brass anyway.
Yeah, that's true. But it is a shame. I mean, there were some great titles from Konami, such as the Silent Hill series, and it's just a shame that we're not going to be seeing anything new on that, especially in the new age of consoles like Xbox One, PS4, and PC. It just kind of sucks.
It does, but let's wax nostalgic here for a second. If you think back, and just kind of going back into the day here, because I mean Konami's been around for a long time. What was the very first Konami game you ever played that you can remember?
Oh jeez. Oh my god, that's going back some years.
Well, let me help you out. The very first one I ever played, and most of the time, these games don't work out very well because LGN usually snatched them up, and LGN is its own thing. We'll talk about it on another day. But the very first Konami game I can remember playing was back on the original NES. and it was Top Gun. That was one of the few video games that moved from the movie market into the video game market that actually turned out to be pretty well, aside from trying to land the motherfucker on the carrier deck.
I actually remember playing Top Gun, but also I will admit it was quite a few years after I was born, so they are seriously older games. But Frogger, Salamander, Track and
Ooh.
Field. I remember playing those. Contra.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, hell, shit. Yeah, I forgot about Contra. I forgot that was a Konami game.
Castlevania, Symphony of the Shadows.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade game. I mean, come on.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's why I went back to say the first one that you ever played. I mean, they've had a lot of good games. There's no doubt about that. Especially the Turtles games and Castlevania, and I completely forgot that Frogger was a Konami game. That completely slipped my mind. But that's why I was saying the first one you could remember playing, because they have had a long history of good games.
I think my very first Konami game was Sunset Riders.
Really?
Yeah, that was my very first Konami game back in the early 90s, I believe it was.
Yeah, that's going back a long way.
Well, I was only, 6, 7 at the time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm making you feel old now, Kishi.
You're not that much old. I'm not that much older than you are.
But old enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just old enough to know, well, not really remember, but I'm just old enough to know when the last video game crash was, because that's when you had all of the ColecoVisions and the Commodore 64 and all that other stuff. That's when the market crashed. The only thing that really came out of it and survived with any kind of decency was the NES.
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo survived all that stuff. And that's the one most of us grew up with in '89. Was the resurgence of the video game systems back in those days.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, yeah. I can vaguely remember the crash. I mean, we had a ColecoVision where my mom used to work. The kids, the veterinarian that owned the business, his kids had a ColecoVision there, and the first game I ever played on that was Donkey Kong, the original Donkey Kong.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is going back some years.
yeah. This is this is the one they had. For you guys that haven't ever seen a ColecoVision or don't know what I'm talking about, this predates the Atari 2800.
Yeah, in other words, go to a museum.
Yeah, this thing you'd hook up to the back of your television, and it didn't really have a controller. It had a game pad that you'd pull out of the system, and it had a little circular knob on the top, and it had like a 10-digit keypad, but it had 12 digits on it, or 12 buttons. But it basically what you'd use the turn the knob left and right to move your characters around and that kind of stuff. Or you could use the keypad. There's a little card you could slide over the top of it that would tell you how to maneuver your character or whatever on the screen. So, you got like, yeah, that's going back a long ways. I'm dating myself. I'm going to shut the hell up.
Probably a wise move. Although saying that, I think there's actually something on Netflix. There's
Oh yeah, the Atari thing.
Yeah, if you go onto Netflix, there's a show on there which dates back most of the popular consoles at the time, and it goes all over ColecoVision, Atari, Commodore 64, and all that. So if you don't know what he's talking about, you can go there, watch that, and see what he's talking about, and you'll just sit there and go, "Oh my god, people actually used to play this."
Yep, the name of it is called Atari Game Over.
That's the one.
Yep. That goes into the video game market crash and all that stuff. It's actually really good. It also gets into E.T. If you guys have seen the Angry Video Game Nerd movie, it goes into the E.T. game.
That was so much fail.
What, the E.T. game?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now keep in mind, everybody likes to rag on it, but keep in mind, the guy that programmed that game literally turned it around. I think it was a month or a month and a half or less. He programmed that entire game from beginning to end in like a month or month and a half.
Yeah, that's true.
And he was
But
one of the best programmers on the planet at the time, and in that short amount of time, that's what he came up with.
yeah, gotta give him his props for that, I suppose. But I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll even put the Netflix URL in the description below. So those of you with Netflix, you can watch it. But it's
Speaking
Netflix
of
USA.
movies,
Well, yes, we do have movie news coming up and something very interesting.
mm-hmm.
But we've got something for you City Skylines players. And I know, Kishi, you play City Skylines.
Yes.
So you might find this interesting. City Skylines patch brings European-style buildings.
Really?
Yes, really. As themes go, European is a pretty broad category, as PC Gamer have said, encompassing centuries of history and architecture across multiple countries. Nevertheless, a new update for City Skylines does attempt to make everything look less gosh darn American, as they put it. And in patch 1.10, or European theme, as it's also known, brings 72 new European-style buildings and the ability for these buildings to form into terraces.
So that means I could sit down and build Kent and show everybody where you live if I wanted to.
Well, Kent's the county I live in, but
Well, I know it's the county. I'm just saying.
That's like me saying, "Oh, I'm going to sit down, and I don't know, make the state of New York, or Virginia, or
Kind of. Oh, I know.
Come on.
You got to remember the way the game's set up in City Skylines. It's huge. You get 9 blocks that you can build in.
I wouldn't know. I haven't played it.
Yeah, it's massive. When you actually sit down and start looking, I mean, for me personally, when I sat down and started playing Skylines for the first time, this is what SimCity should have been. I know everybody says that, but honest to God, I shit you not. This is exactly the way it is. If you guys haven't picked it up and you haven't played it, go over to YouTube and check out some of the Let's Plays that are there. If you really want to watch something that's got some funny commentary, I know a lot of you guys are too old for this, but if you go check out the Yogscast and check out Sips, he's got a City Skylines playthrough that he's doing. It's funny to watch, and it's funny to watch him get into the stuff he gets into. And his comedy, I mean, it's kind of dry. He's a Canadian, so it's a little on the dry side, but it's real good. If you guys haven't checked it out, do it, because all the stuff that EA screwed up when they were trying to get selfish and greedy and trying to nickel and dime all of us to death, these guys pulled all that out and fixed all the bugs. So a lot of the pathing issues that the little the residents had in SimCities, the last one that came out, all that got fixed. You can actually rename people inside the game. You can name the animals. You can basically personalize it and make your own little city, and it works the way it's supposed to. And it's just now with this mod, I mean that's what I'm saying. When you actually sit down and take a look at the size of it, you can build a fairly good sized city in one little block. And with the way this is going, I could see somebody building something that the size of the county of Kent inside those 9 blocks. I mean, it'd be scaled down a little bit, but it could probably be done and done pretty well. Because I know London's been done already.
Doesn't surprise me.
So, yeah, definitely go check it out. It's worth the money. I mean, a lot of people were kind of hesitant about it when it first came out because they weren't sure how it was going to be. This is one of the few games that I pre-ordered because this was one of the few that I knew was going to be really good. I don't do pre-orders very often. I brag on people that do pre-orders. This game and Witcher 3 are probably the only 2 games that I've pre-ordered in the last 5 years, 6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't do pre-orders, but unless it's something I know is going to be awesome, even with all the bugs that both those games had, they were worth the pre-orders. But Skylines is a lot of fun if you're into that kind of stuff.
Well, and if you are into that sort of stuff and have Skylines, this is what you can expect.
Mm-hmm.
New European theme, 72 European buildings in the European theme, support for corner and adjacent buildings in the European theme. 3 maps added, again with a European theme, the Cliffside Bay, Foggy Hills and Grand River. New tunnels for roads and rails have been added. Metro tones can be built at different levels, and they've got some graphical stuff in there as well, like a VSync option has been added, and the invert Y mouse axis has been added, and there's a ton of more other things. If you go to the Paradox forums for the patch notes, you can find it all there. Or if we're feeling nice, might just put it into a little spoiler below. If we're feeling nice.
It sounds dumb, but that invert Y-axis is actually going to be that's going to help out a lot. It's going to make navigation a little bit easier. I know that sounds dumb, but that's what it is.
Oh, and do you know what? There's something we absolutely forgot.
What's that?
Well, talking about Atari and all the other games, it's the 35th anniversary of Pac-Man.
That's true. Holy shit, am I old.
Yep, Pac-Man, it's the 35th anniversary, and in fact, I think you can actually get it on Steam right now for 75% off as well.
Wow.
Yeah, 35 years of Pac-Man. I bet some of you are sitting there now saying, shut up, Esper. But hey, the facts tell no lies. Yeah, Pac-Man, 35 years old. Wow. Just makes you wonder, though. Look how far we've come in 35 years of gaming. Like, jeez.
Yeah, actually, I was talking to Kavia's daughter earlier today. We were goofing around, talking about stuff, and one of the little hidden things that you can do in Google is there's a game that you could play. And that's going back to Atari and that kind of stuff, and it was fun sitting there listening to her giggle her ass off while she's playing it, talking about how addictive it is. And it's a bar that moves left and right across the screen while you bounce a ball up and down and break bricks. And she was having more fun with that than she does playing other games.
Well, something else that's on Google, you can when you're looking at Google Maps, I don't know if it's still there now, but I know recently, I think it was in the last 10 weeks, you could look at Google Maps. You could hit a button, it'd take a section of the maps, and it'd turn it into a Pac-Man level.
Yep.
I was sitting there for hours playing that. It was like, wow, this is cool.
Yep. And for all you Lord of the Rings nerds out there, that whole little secret about Mordor and the Shire, it's still there.
Figures. And so, touching back on what we said earlier about massive bans and company transparency.
Banhammer.
The guys over at Daybreak Studios, formerly SOE, have announced that they have banned 25,000 players in a single night within H1Z1.
Yep.
Now, H1Z1, they've always been open about exploits and bans and anti-cheat system, things like that. And they announced recently that 24,837 people have been banned for cheating. And they would like you to obviously keep reporting hackers and cheaters as you see them. But unlike other companies that have been doing this, these are permabans.
Yeah, SOE's never really fucked around when it came to bans. If you got banned for good.
And the interesting thing is, these people have been perma-banned. There's reports starting to creep up that they've also been banned from things like PlanetSide 2 as well. So it seems like it's not just an account ban for H1Z1. In some cases, it seems like it's a complete IP ban from all of the Daybreak Studios game services.
Yeah. Well, I mean, keep in mind too. I mean, SOEs, they've always been they learned the hard way, and they were one of the first big companies to learn the hard way that transparency pays off. So this doesn't surprise me. And then, like I said before, I mean, and you know from firsthand experience how screwed up SOE can be when it comes to dropping the ban hammer for things they shouldn't be. But most of the time, 9 times out of 10. They're usually spot on. At least they were after that massive screw up during the NGE nightmare. So I'm hoping this is going to help out a lot. And H1Z1 had a lot of potential. I don't want to see it end up turning into garbage. I hope this helps.
Oh, it still does. I mean, they've made some massive improvements in it, and it's interesting to see what they're going to come out with in future. And so, for those that are going to remember the original title back in the late 90s, I believe 97, it seems that Turok, a dinosaur hunter,
Yes.
is being remade.
Yep. I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, it depends, because we don't quite know what the scope of remake is, because we've heard it before with games where they say, oh well, we're going to remake it, and all they've done is they've gone in and given it the HD quality, like recently with some Final Fantasy titles and Sonic games and things like that, which have come out quite well. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And as the report says, Turok Dinosaur Hunter was originally released in 1997, and
Yep.
Turok pretty much spells it out. There's a story about an ancient birthright and the lost land, and an evil invader, and an unimaginably powerful artifact called the Chronoscepter.
Yep.
But what mattered is that there were dinosaurs and you could hunt them. And the word on the street is that at some point in the relatively near future, you'll be able to again.
There was, that was Turok was a lot of fun. I played on the N64 when it first came out years and years ago. I really enjoyed the hell out of it. That was one of the first N64 games I ever played. Next, Mario obviously because it came with the system, but that was one of the first N64 games I played, and it was a lot of fun. And I got really disappointed because there was a reimagining or an attempted reboot a few years ago with Turok, and it was it was they alien colonial marines did.
Yeah, they certainly did. But as the report says, the rumor emerged from a Tech Raptor interview with Samuel Villarreal, a level designer on Fear Perseus, Mandate, and Section 8, and again, Aliens Colonial Marines, who's rebuilding the obscure 1996 shooter Power Slave. In it, he said that he'd been working on an update of the Nintendo 64 version of Turok before starting on the Power Slave redo, but put it off to the side for some reason, and then he got to the really interesting bit. Since now, Night Dive Studios has picked up the rights to re-release it, Turok EX will resume development later this year, he said. He added that he's worked with Night Dive previously on Strife, which was a 1996 first-person shooter that hit Steam last year. Night Dive, who of course specialises in bringing old classics to modern hardware. Its ports include System Shock 2 and I Have No Mouth and Must Scream. It also came tantalisingly close to resurrecting the great No One Lives Forever, although that deal ultimately fell through, which was sad because that was one game I absolutely loved.
Yep.
We've reached out to Night Dive for comment, and they'll update when they can. And for those
PC Gamer, not us, PC Gamer.
Well, yeah, not us, obviously. Coming from PC Gamer. But that's a game I was actually really disappointed didn't get the revival treatment. I mean, No One Lives Forever. Amazing game. And for those that didn't play it, it was basically Austin Powers before Austin Powers, and it's a female lead.
Mm-hmm. It was a good game.
So just imagine Austin Powers with a female lead and put that into a first-person shooter, and you've got No One Lives Forever. It was fantastic. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the Turok remake then.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm really scared if the same studio that released Colonial Marines is going to put their grubby little hands on it. I'm really scared.
Well, it's not the same studio. I mean, this guy's just a developer that also worked on Colonial Marines, but the company, it's kind of like recently when you got your X-Wing versus TIE Fighter series.
Yeah.
It's like that. The company take older games and they re-engineer them to work on the latest platforms, but it seems now that they're getting into remaking the older games from scratch, so onto update graphics and game mechanics and things like that.
As long as they don't screw around with it and try to do too much with it, and they go through and just basically clean it up and clean up a lot of the little bugs that it had with the controls and that kind of stuff, that'd be nice. If they could just release like a PC version of it, so you got the mouse and keyboard part, that would make playing the game a lot easier and a lot more fun. Mm-hmm. But dear God, if they turn this into another Colonial Marines, I am not going to be a happy Kisho.
When is Kisho ever happy?
I've actually been happier than a pig in shit playing Witcher 3, so it does happen.
And now, for some of you guys that play Counter-Strike Global Offensive, here's some news for you. Valve has confirmed it is working on tweaking the hitboxes in its competitive online shooter, Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Hitboxes, which are an invisible part of a character model that registers the collision with bullets, grenades, and things like that, have been a point of criticism for many playing the latest iteration of the popular first-person shooter. CSGO's hitbox issues were more recently thrust into the spotlight when a video emerged of a player firing directly into a defenseless enemy at point-blank range and doing no damage. The video reached the top of the Counter-Strike subreddit and generated much discussion from the incensed members of the community who decided to send it to Valve employees. Unexpectedly, though, Valve coder Matt Wood responded by saying hitboxes are being worked on, but added that the company currently did not have any specific release window for the updates that would enact the improvements. CSGO was co-developed by Hidden Path Entertainment and has become a popular title in esports tournaments, as I'm sure many of you Twitch viewers have seen. And recently, the professional CSGO circuit has been plagued by match fixing, but that's a story for another time. And also, again, in another ban wave, Valve recently issued bans to a number of prominent professional CSGO players, preventing them from playing in high-stakes tournaments. So, hell, it's only taken them, 2-3 years to get around to doing this?
Don't get me started.
Yeah, let's just move on.
Moving on.
So, for Battlefield Hardline players, you are going to see that the first DLC has new maps, guns, and a new mode, which is Bounty Hunter. So, after some initial teases, Visceral Games on Wednesday officially announced everything included with Battlefield Hardline's first expansion called Criminal Activity. The add-on comes with new maps, guns, gears, and vehicles, as well as the new Bounty Hunter mode. What's more, Criminal Activity includes 6 new masks, including Scary Rabbit and Gorilla ones. Although with Keisha, we actually have to put a mask on him, but still. He's going to slap me for this. Let's see. Criminal Activity includes 4 fast-paced new maps: Backwards, Code Blue, The Beat, and Black Friday. I guess that's where you're running around Walmart beating people over their head just so you can grab a TV. 2 new rides, 2 new ammunition types for specific weapons, a new gadget, 3 new weapons, a nail gun battle pickup, new Bounty Hunter game mode, and 6 new masks, 2 animals, and 4 new police headgear options. There are 3 additional Hardline expansions which will follow: Robbery, which will be in the summer, Getaway, which will be in the fall, and Betrayal in early 2016. Pricing hasn't been announced for people who buy Hardline's expansion outside of the premium offering. However, history suggests that it will go for around about $15 each.
That's actually not too bad.
Well, it seems that EA are slashing prices on a lot of things lately. Because another bit of news is that EA and their rather interesting Plants vs. Zombies first-person shooter, Garden Warfare, has had a permanent price drop.
I don't play PvZ, so I don't know.
It is a lot of fun. It really is. I mean, I saw this news today and I saw the price drop and it's like, do you know what? I'm going to go get it. And I played it for 2 hours and I just loved every minute. But as the news comes in, is that Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, the wacky and weird team-based shooter from EA's PopCap team, has received a permanent price drop. The game is now available for just $20. PopCap announced that the news through Twitter, pointing out that the price drop applies to all platforms: PC, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation 4. However, EA Access members on Xbox One can play Garden Warfare for even less, as it's one of the many titles included for free with the subscription program. Now, the reason why they're doing this is because they have announced that they are working on a new Garden Warfare game, which is actually going to be released in E3 next month. And so they're slashing the cost of this game to get people interested, so they're going to buy the next game. That old ploy.
All right.
And that's it for gaming news.
Sweet.
So now we've got a little bit of entertainment news for you, and big news in the movie industry is that World of Warcraft is getting a movie. And
Yep.
Duncan Jones has tweeted the first images.
For a change, this isn't some freaking April Fool's joke. The image that he tweeted out, it's honestly, this is some of the best makeup I've ever seen. This is incredible.
Yep, it is no longer a rumor, and after 9 years in development, it's finally coming around. And Duncan Jones recently tweeted an image of a CGI orc chieftain, Orgrim Doomhammer, I believe the name was, and it looks absolutely fantastic.
Wait, that's CGI?
That's CGI.
Are you serious? I thought that was a dude in makeup.
No, that's CGI, man.
Holy shit.
Exactly. And to say this is getting a lot of hype very quickly is an understatement. Not going to talk too much about it, but guys, just simply type in World of Warcraft movie and you will be blown away by how much attention this has gotten this quickly. And just from one tweeted picture, it's astounding. It really is staggering.
Yeah, I'm sitting here staring at the picture, and then I'm not just blowing smoke. I'm dead serious. I thought that was an actor dressed up in orc makeup. That's amazing. Wow.
Well, this might help you. You might understand why it looks so good when I tell you this. ILM are doing that.
Yeah, I kind of figured it'd have to be somebody. I thought. Wait. I thought ILM broke up after Lucas sold everything off to Disney.
No, ILM's been its own company for years.
Okay. Well, I mean, I know that, but I mean, as far as I knew, Lucas owned ILM, didn't he?
At one point, yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that explains it. Wow. That's incredible. That's wild.
It goes to show the level of work, because, I mean, ILM are the guys behind who done Hulk for the latest Avengers movie, Age of Ultron. Mm-hmm. Yep. And how good that looked. It was amazing. And we can actually tell you who the actor is that's going to be portraying the Orc leader. Robert Kaczynski. He's a British actor. He was in a show over here called EastEnders, kind of like our version of Dallas, let's say. Yep. He is a good actor, and he's going to be the guy that's portraying that particular role. But yeah, just search Google for it or your preferred search engine, and you will be blown away. Keisha's in shock now. He's sitting there with his mouth wide open, just like flies gather there.
I'm just sitting here looking at Doomhammer. That's just wild. And yes, I'm very familiar with EastEnders. I know people that still watch it.
And other entertainment news, one that's kind of interesting actually. It's got some great hype, but last couple of days got some really negative hype as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's got Adam Sandler in it, so.
Yeah. And it's a film that's due to come out in August, and it's called Pixels. And here is the basics. The storyline is that kids in the 1980s, Sam Brunner, Will Cooper, Ludlow Lamassoff, and Eddie, the Fire Blaster, Plant, saved the world thousands of times at 25 cents a game in the video arcades. Now they're going to have to do it for real. In Pixels, when intergalactic aliens discover video feeds of classic arcade games and misinterpret them as a declaration of war, they attack the Earth, using the video games as the models for their assaults. And now US President Cooper must call on his old-school arcade friends to save the world from being destroyed by Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, Galaga, Centipede, and Space Invaders. Joining them is Lieutenant Colonel Violet Van Patten, a specialist supplying the arcaders with unique weapons to fight the aliens.
The thing that bugs me about this is it's being touted as something new, but I know there's at least 2 other iterations of this that are exactly the same, with the exact same characters. One of them, it was an episode of Futurama. It was the exact same thing.
Yeah, I thought that too. But, I sat there, I've watched the trailers for it, and I gotta admit, it does look kind of good.
For nostalgic sake, yes, but
Yeah, I wouldn't mind
it's
seeing it.
I don't know. I'm not. I haven't been a big Adam fan. I mean, I know I've been really cynical this entire episode. I'm not tired. I'm not trying to be, but I got over
He
Adam
is
Sandler
really.
25 years ago.
He is really. Don't believe him. Yeah, I mean, I've never been a big fan of Adam Sandler. I think there's only like one film I've been able to tolerate him in, and that was Bedtime Stories.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I wouldn't mind sitting there. I don't know, when I've got a couple of hours free sitting there watching it. I don't think it's something I'd go to the cinema to watch.
Yeah, yeah. This would be something you
But
want to watch
yeah,
on Netflix.
yeah, exactly. I wouldn't mind sitting there watching it.
But well, I mean, it's got some cred. I mean, it's got oh, what the hell is his name? From Game of Thrones that everybody loves now these days. Peter Dinklage. Peter Dinklage is in it. It's
Okay.
also got Sean Bean, so we know he's dead.
Yeah.
He's probably if he doesn't die in the first 10 minutes, he'll be dead either by the end of the second act or by the end of the first act.
Oh, poor Sean Bean.
Let's see who else they got in it. Kevin James. A lot of you guys might know him from The King of Queens or Paul Blart, security guard or whatever the hell it was called.
Hmm.
Some of these other names I don't recognize. So you guys might. I know Sean Bean, Peter Dinklage, Adam Sandler, Kevin James. Oh no. Apparently
Brian
Jared
Cox.
Sandler.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Now, this one could be kind of hit and miss. It's not every day a game translates well into films. In fact, I don't recall there ever being a good film adaptation of a game.
Especially not this one. The last one that came out was an absolute abomination.
Yeah, well, the last one was, yeah. I mean, thankfully, this particular title doesn't carry on from the last release of it. This is something brand new. But still, it has me worried. And that is Hitman Agent 47. I've seen the trailer for it. The trailer looks great. Trouble is, the last Hitman movie, the trailer looked great.
It did. I was really looking forward to that movie. They tried to do too much with it. They tried to turn it into it was almost like a cross between like a Jason Bourne movie / novel, and what was the name of that? The other movie. Hang on a second.
I don't know. It comes on here wanting to do an Ordocast. He doesn't even
Game.
have his stuff ready.
Well, no, I couldn't. I had it. I just couldn't remember. It's a cross between Jason Bourne and Spy Game. And Spy Game was a movie that came out in 2001 with Robert Redford. It was really good. That I was actually really surprised. It had Robert Redford and Brad Pitt. I don't know if you guys have seen. I'm not a big Brad Pitt fan myself, but I actually saw that movie because I am a big Robert Redford fan. That movie was good, but it's like they took both of those movies and squished them together with the plot of Spy Game with the action of Jason Bourne, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid that's what they're gonna do with this one.
Yeah, me too. I mean, again, it's another one of those. I wouldn't mind seeing it, see how it's been done, see the story, but I don't think it's another one I'm going to go to the cinema to see. Although it's going to be interesting to see how Zachary Quinto's character plays out in it as well.
I was just going to bring that up. If Zachary Quinto's on it, he's from what I've seen and what I've read about the guy, he's picky about the movie roles that he takes. So we'll have to see how it goes. I'll give it a shot just because he's in it.
I've got to admit, I love Zachary Quinto as an actor. Everything he does has always been right up there. Everything from Heroes to Star Trek. His style of acting, being able to be a complete asshole in one respect, but a complete good guy in another. The different ranges he can play has always been good. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he brings life to the characters in this one. But yeah, I'm secretly nervous. Very
Well,
nervous.
I agree with you, but it's also got Rupert Friend in it too, and the movies that he's been in have not been that bad.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like the idea of him
Being
being Agent
47.
47, though.
Yeah, well, it's kind of it was similar to what he played in Homeland. I don't know if you guys have seen that or not. If you haven't, go check it out. That's not too bad either. But I don't know. We'll have to see. I have a feeling they're probably going to try to do too much with it. But again, with it having Zachary Quinto in it, I don't know. If the script wasn't good, he would be part of it. It's probably all going to boil down to the director.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yep.
And for you comic book fans, I'm sure it's been no surprise to you, or if this does come as a surprise, then you're really not a comic book fan. But it seems that very soon we are going to have a Supergirl TV series.
Yep. It's slated to release in November of this year.
Hmm. I've watched the trailer for it, and I was actually really impressed. I was definitely impressed,
Yep.
and for the people that know me, know I'm not really into comic book things like Batman and Superman and whatnot, but I used to sit there and watch things like Lois and Clark: New Adventures of Superman and whatnot, and to watch the trailer for this, it kind of reminded me a lot of that. And yeah, I got to admit, I'm quite impressed. It's something I might actually sit down and watch and keep up to date with as it's released.
Yeah, it's got a lot of the thing that bothers me and the thing that worries me is it's got a lot of hype behind it. So at least for the last couple of years, stuff that's been coming out on TV, especially, that has a lot of hype behind it, usually ends up sucking. And
Yeah,
this
that's
has got a
true.
lot of hype built up behind it.
I think that's more because it was such a closely guarded project and it just burst out into the scene all at once. If it had been a case of the studio had said, like, a couple of years ago, like, oh, well, like, soon we're going to start writing for this and for that, it wouldn't have as much hype as it does now.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, the good news is they can only go up because the Supergirl movie that came out in the late '80s, early '90s was.
Let's just not go there.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
yeah,
I honestly, I mean, I've been trying to watch stuff like Agent of Shield and Green Arrow and or Arrow, I guess is what it's called now. That kind of stuff, and I can't get into it. I don't know why. All the comic book stuff. I mean, I'm a big comic book fan. I love them. I love the movies and all that stuff that's been coming out lately. I just haven't been able to get into it. I don't know why. I'm hoping maybe this will grab my attention. I don't know.
well, you never know.
Anyway, moving on. Got some YouTube news now, don't you?
Yes, definitely interesting news for streamers, people like Keisho, me, and other members of Ordo.
Soda.
And Sosa, yes, Sosa too. Now, this was announced, but it's actually something that went live, let's see, as of recording this, it went live May 22nd. And that is that YouTube added and now supports live streaming functionality at 60 frames per second.
So they're finally caught up with the rest of the world.
Yes and no. I mean, even on Twitch, you don't even get 60 FPS. You can upload 60 FPS to it, but it doesn't usually translate across as that. I mean, usually it's throttled to 30 FPS unless you're a Twitch partner or something like that.
Yeah. Now, if I remember right, when I was reading that, it's still going to throttle down to 30 FPS on wireless devices like cell phones and tablets, because I don't
Yes.
think they can quite handle it. But you'll still be able to get it with HTML5 instead of running Java, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But there is a drawback to it. Okay. Now the catch is that the higher frame rate is only supported as part of an early preview for HTML5 compatible browsers. So if you're using Google Chrome and you stream in 60 FPS, you can view it in 60 FPS. if you're using, say, IE10, you won't. Because even though IE10 is built for HTML5, it doesn't stay up to date as quickly as what other platforms do, like Chrome.
Mm-hmm.
So it might be a while. But
won't be that long because Cortana's coming out here pretty soon.
Yeah.
I know how much that just thrilled you that they stole it.
Oh, wow. Well, hey, at least they're giving all Windows users a free update, so what the hell.
This is true.
But as YouTube have said, it appreciates that the better frame rate is a key concern for video game streamers, such as the Google-owned video giant has worked with game capture technology companies like Elgato and XSplit for the new version of the capture technology, and the new versions of Elgato Game Capture, XSplit Broadcaster, and XSplit Gamecaster are available now, YouTube has said. And what's more, YouTube pointed out that any app using the site's new live streaming API can mark their stream to run at 60 FPS. In addition, YouTube has rolled out what is called another highly requested feature for live streaming, HTML5 playback. As of this week, YouTube live streamers will use an HTML5 player in supported browsers. And because our HTML5 player supports variable speed playback, you can skip backwards in a stream while it's live and watch at 1.5 or 2 times speed to catch back up. The introduction of 60 FPS live streaming and more announcements to come later are part of YouTube's effort to go head-to-head with Twitch. And according to a report from March, gaming and esports in particular are going to be a big driving force for the new look YouTube Live.
I wonder how they're going to handle their antiquated copyright issues with the streams.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, Twitch have been doing this for quite a while now, even back when it was Justin.tv, and they've got so much R&D behind it. It's unreal. And YouTube, they've taken a big step with this with 60 FPS streaming, obviously, because it'll be 60 FPS no matter if you're running at 720p or 1080p. It'll still be 60 frames.
Right.
But as far as things like game recognition, chat, interaction, using third-party tools to plug into your stream with overlays and things like that, they're still way behind the curve. So, but I don't know.
Agree.
With some more development, they could start catching up and give Twitch a run for its money.
Yeah.
And considering YouTube are offering 60 FPS now, and all you need is a Google account. Whereas with Twitch, you need turbo, you need this, you need so many subscribers to get Twitch partnership and things like that. I don't know. YouTube have the they have it there to bypass Twitch in a lot of ways.
Right, but what I'm referring to though is the big issue. A lot of us that have been doing this stuff, that have been streaming for a while, even haven't, is the way the copyright system works on YouTube.
Yeah.
So how, let's say for example, because we'll use Nintendo as an example because they're the Nazis of the whole copyright system here. Let's say for example somebody's streaming Pokemon X and Y. Or for example, how are they going to handle the copyright thing? If Nintendo and their little automated system comes through and decides they're going to throw down the ban hammer, is that going to kill the stream? Is it going to have anything to affect with it? Or because I know with Twitch, you can get paid for for the number of people that you have on your stream, that kind of stuff with the subscription, all that stuff. And a lot of these guys, I don't know, is it going to? I'm going to do some more research on it because I don't know if you're going to get paid for having that many people watching you. Because with YouTube right now, you get paid per view and all the rest of that stuff with the partnership program. I wonder if that's going to carry over, and then if it is going to be monetized, Nintendo doesn't care one way or the other if it's monetized or not, unless you're part of their partnership program, which is a different story. But I wonder how that's going to happen if they start having bullshit copyright stuff fly up in the middle of a stream. If that's going to be the new version of swatting, instead of calling the cops out there, you just log in it or create a fake account which looks like it's legitimate, and then the system flags it as legitimate, and then they end up. I don't know how that's going to work.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I guess so.
Although it does lead to some interesting stuff, and be interesting to see what they come out with in the future.
It is. I mean, I'm gonna give it a shot. And the next time I go up and stream, I'm gonna go check all this stuff out here after you and I get done recording. But I'm gonna go check it out and see if I can get down to it. And if I can, I'm gonna run a couple of test streams to see how it works and I'll let you guys know in the forums.
That sounds like a plan to me.
Cool.
And so that's it for entertainment news. All that's left is the random YouTube video, which you will find down below in the post. And that about wraps it up, actually.
That took a lot longer than I thought it was gonna take.
Yeah, well, let's face it. Even back in the day with the original Ordocast, like, you know, when it was just either me or you, or whether we had like 3 or 4 people, it always used to creep up longer and longer and longer.
It's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing, but I think we've pretty much bored everyone to tears now. So I think we're gonna have to come up with a time limit.
That ain't gonna work. You and I both know it's not gonna work.
It will work. Power of positive thinking. It will work.
I'm positive it won't work.
No, you're not positive. You're a cynic. Admit it.
True. Well, yeah. I mean, I call you the cynical Brent, but then you know John Bain would sue you.
Yeah, well, there you go. So, everyone, thank you very much for joining us for episode 2 of the Reimagined Ordocast. This episode is the Imperium Advances, and it certainly does. Come back soon and join us for episode 3. I don't know if I'll have Kishi with me there, but we'll see what we can do, and we'll be back again with more news, more chapter news, hopefully some promotions news, and something from the member exchange. So, happy frags, good kills, and epic kill streaks. And we wish you the loot drops you want. Take care, Ordo, and we'll catch you again soon.
Later, guys.